Did you know there's a man who survived being struck by lightning not once, not twice, but 7 different times? Or that the tallest man ever recorded was nearly 9 feet tall? These aren't just fascinating stories. They're official world records so extreme, so unbelievably improbable, that experts agree they will likely never be broken. Ever. What makes a record truly unbreakable? Is it a change in rules, a fluke of nature, or a feat of human endurance that simply can't be replicated in the modern world? In the next few minutes, we're going to dive into the most mind-boggling, jaw-dropping world records that have been cemented in history, forever out of reach. Stay tuned, because you won't believe what humans have been capable of. Let's start with a record that is literally superhuman. Meet Roy Sullivan, a U.S. park ranger in Virginia. You might think being struck by lightning is a 1 in a million chance, and you'd be right. But for Roy, it was practically a habit. Between 1942 and 1977, he was officially struck by lightning, a Guinness World Record holding 7 times. The first strike seared a half-inch strip along his right leg and knocked his big toenail off. Another time, it set his hair on fire. Another strike threw him from his truck. He suffered burns, hearing loss, and incredible trauma, yet he survived each and every time. The odds of being struck by lightning once in your lifetime are about 1 in 15,300. The odds of being struck 7 times? That's a number so astronomically high, it's practically zero. It's a record born from sheer, terrifying, and unrepeatable bad luck. No one is ever going to try and break this record, and it's highly unlikely anyone will ever be this unlucky again. From bad luck to sheer genetic marvel, let's talk about Robert Wadlow, the Alton giant. Born in 1918, Robert was a perfectly normal-sized baby. But due to an overactive pituitary gland, he never stopped growing. By the time he was 8, he was taller than his father. As a young adult, he stood at an incredible 8 feet 11.1 inches tall. Imagine that, almost 9 feet tall. He wore size 37 shoes, and his hands were over a foot long. His immense size put a huge strain on his body, requiring leg braces to walk. Tragically, it was an infection from one of these braces that led to his death at the young age of just 22. With modern medicine, the condition that caused his gigantism, pituitary hyperplasia, is now treatable. Doctors can manage the growth hormone levels to prevent such extreme growth. Because of these medical advancements, it's almost certain that no one will ever be allowed to grow to such a dangerous and life-threatening height again. Robert Wadlow's record as the tallest man in human history is a sad but permanent one. Now, we're about to get into a record that was broken through a combination of unbelievable timing and a loophole in the rules. It's one of my personal favorites. But first, a quick question for you. Do you enjoy learning about these kinds of incredible, almost unbelievable true stories? If you do, consider hitting that subscribe button. We release videos just like this every single week, diving deep into the most fascinating corners of history and human achievement. By subscribing, you're not just joining a community, you're making sure you never miss out on another mind-blowing story. It's free, and it helps us out a ton. Go on, click it. I'll wait. Done? Awesome, thank you. Let's get back to it. Let's travel back to the 1968 Mexico City Olympics. The air is thin, the excitement is high, and an American athlete named Bob Beamon is about to take his turn at the long jump. The world record at the time was 27 feet, 4¾ inches. A very respectable distance. Then, Beamon takes off. He sprints down the runway and launches himself into the air. He flies and keeps flying. When he finally lands in the sand, the officials are stunned. The optical measuring device they had ran off its rail. It wasn't designed to measure a jump that long. They had to bring out an old-fashioned tape measure. The result? 29 feet, 2½ inches. He didn't just break the world record. He shattered it by nearly 2 feet. The athletic world was in shock. This feat became known as the leap of the century. So why is this unbreakable? Several factors came together perfectly for Beamon. First, Mexico City's high altitude has thinner air, offering less resistance. Second, he had a perfect tailwind, the maximum allowed for a record to be valid. Third, his technique was flawless. It was a perfect storm of athletic genius and ideal conditions. While the record was eventually broken 23 years later by Mike Powell mini-track, and field experts argue that Beamon's jump under those specific Olympic conditions is the greater athletic achievement, and will never be replicated in the same context. Powell's jump was at a world championship, not the Olympics, and didn't have the same dramatic, record-shattering margin. The Olympic long jump record set by Beeman remains a legendary benchmark of its own. From the sports arena to the high seas, let's talk about a record of pure, unadulterated endurance. Tsutomu Yamaguchi has a distinction no one would ever want. He is the only person officially recognized by the Japanese government as having survived the atomic bombings of both Hiroshima and Nagasaki. On August 6, 1945, Yamaguchi was in Hiroshima on a business trip. He was about 2 miles from ground zero when the little boy bomb detonated. He was thrown to the ground, his eardrums were ruptured, and he was badly burned. Despite his injuries, he spent a night in an air raid shelter and, the next day, boarded a train to his hometown, Nagasaki. He arrived on August 8th, wounded and exhausted. The very next day, August 9th, while describing the horror of the Hiroshima blast to his supervisor, the second bomb, Fat Man, was detonated over Nagasaki. Once again, he was about 2 miles from ground zero. And once again, he survived. To endure one atomic blast is a miracle. To endure two is beyond comprehension. This is a record that, for the sake of all humanity, we must ensure is never, ever challenged. It is a testament to both human resilience and the absolute horror of war. Finally, let's look at a record from the world of entertainment. The highest-grossing film of all time, when adjusted for inflation, isn't Avatar or Avengers: Endgame. It's the 1939 classic, Gone with the Wind. When you factor in the ticket prices of the time and how many times it was re-released in theaters over decades, its adjusted worldwide gross is an estimated $3.7 billion. Avatar is a distant second at around $3.3 billion. Why will this never be broken? The entire model of watching movies has changed. In the 1930s and 40s, there was no television, no streaming, no internet. Going to the cinema was the primary form of entertainment. Gone with the Wind ran in theaters for years and was re-released multiple times to new generations of moviegoers who could only see it on the big screen. Today, a blockbuster's theatrical window is just a few months before it's available for home viewing. The audience is fractured across dozens of platforms. The unique cultural moment and distribution model that made Gone with the Wind an unparalleled financial juggernaut simply doesn't exist anymore. Its box office crown, when viewed through the lens of inflation, is safely secured in history. From incredible luck and genetic anomalies to feats of athletic perfection and historical circumstance, these records stand as monuments to a different time. They are frozen moments that we can look back on with awe, reminding us of the incredible and sometimes terrifying spectrum of human experience. What other unbreakable records do you know of? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to read them. Thanks so much for watching, and if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss our next video. We'll see you in the next one.